Everyone has a life story to tell, but an incredible life story is shared and told differently. Incredible Life Stories with Simon Kasyate. Tonight on the program, join me on a journey of innovation and sustainability as we get down to the bottom of the story of Uganda's inaugural electric vehicle. On the program tonight, we'll meet the visionaries that dreamt big to pave way for this incredible life story of innovation, sustainability, and paving way to what has become Uganda's trailblazing automobile manufacturing initiative, perhaps even the first in East African region. Paul Isaac Musasizi is the Chief Executive Officer at Kiira Motors EV. But just beyond that, he is one of the team of a couple of scientists that conceptualized the whole idea of the first, should we call it the inaugural electric vehicle in Uganda. Welcome to the program, Paul Isaac Musasizi.
Thank you, Simon.
You're just not the CEO. You are, in fact, a pioneering innovator of the first electric vehicle in Uganda. Do you want to take us back to where it all began, the thinking behind it, and how you got your hands dirty, if I may use that expression?
The journey that brought us to Kiira EV is an interesting one. And perhaps the first point to even note is that it is the first electric vehicle designed and built on the African continent.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
Wow. And one would want to imagine what that must have felt for the team of you who broke the thinking ceiling to say, Africa is not known for some of these trailblazing innovations. But you are young men and women, I perhaps imagine, that dreamt this big. At the time of the dreaming, what was informing this kind of dream that, for the most part, may have come off as so far-fetched?
The interesting part of this journey is that it is not easy to assign the thinking to a specific individual. As it's always said, it takes the whole village to raise a child. So back in the early 2000s at Makerere University, we used to have a challenge of the perception of the rest of the country. And there was always a saying that Makerere cannot even make
a safety pin?
A safety pin.
Or a matchbox.
Or a toothpick.
It gets even worse.
So for us in engineering school, that presented a question of how relevant are we? Are we solving the right problems from an engineering standpoint? And for me as an individual, that was also quite important.
Were you a teacher or a student at that time?
I was in 2000. I was a student.
So it all began from your student days, the formative years.
In my second year of mechanical engineering. But as time goes by, and I returned to the university to do graduate training, and then I stayed to take on a faculty role. We continued having a gap in terms of we call it pedagogical infrastructure. Simply put, these are the facilities we would need to be in place in order for us to train a holistic engineer, an engineer who has a craft, who can do something. That continued to be a challenge at the university. And we were lucky that in 2003, at that time I was still doing my master's degree. I had just started my MSc in mechanical engineering. The Carnegie Corporation of New York supported a professor from MIT called Jesus.
Wow. Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
Yes.
And they sent no less of a savior named Jesus.
They sent Jesus. Of course, the Spanish pronounce it as Jesus de Alamo. So Professor Jesus was a professor of electronics. More specifically, was into microelectronics at MIT in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Cambridge, not Cambridge, London.
Yes.
And he had researchers who hailed from Asia, researching students, because MIT is a research institution, so a big number of the community there are actually research students and actual researchers. So the students specifically from India would go back home during the summer holidays, and these summer holidays typically run from June until August. So June, July, mid-August, the students are away, and research can't wait for 2 months, let alone almost 3 months. So he was figuring out a way in which the students would continue with their social engagements back home, where they had the opportunity to continue carrying out experiments using real equipment in his lab at MIT. And right now it sounds quite easy because remote engineering is now is a given.
Yes.
On your phone, you're doing things in the bank and all of that, real access remotely. But back then, at the foot of the 21st century, it was a different story. Applications like that were mainly known in the military and space exploration. They were not typical in an academic setting. So he created a platform which he termed as the Internet Laboratories Shared Architecture.
Okay.
iLabs Shared Architecture. And the whole issue was you could log into a laboratory through the internet and perform a real experiment, not a simulation.
Wow.
Yeah, you get into the machine and you're able to run the experiment. And this way, scholars away from MIT would then access the laboratories at MIT and carry on with their research. Now, Carnegie Corporation of New York loved the idea. They saw it as a fantastic idea to address the gap we had at Makerere and similar universities on the African continent, which did not have the key pedagogical infrastructure to train a holistic engineer, especially in emerging and cutting-edge technology spaces like electronics. So they put together a program which they called iLabs Africa, which brought together 3 universities on the African continent. And they selected them carefully in Uganda, Makerere University.
That's obviously that's a no-brainer. It could have only been Makerere University.
At the time, it was difficult not to be Makerere University. In Tanzania, the University of Dar es Salaam. And in Nigeria, the University of Obafemi Awolowo in Ile-Ife.
Wow.
Yeah, so these 3 universities were both pilot sites for the internet laboratories. And then MIT was the technology transfer partner, the role model, who would then help these universities realize access to remote labs for teaching, or for constructive education and research at premier academic institutions on the African continent. So it was, of course, not the biggest problem we had.
You just preempted my question. There is so much that knowledge could have done that meets a typical Ugandan's need at the time, as opposed to making this a vehicle. After all, other people are making vehicles and perhaps even flooding our markets. We have the Japanese, we have the Germans, and all the other, big manufacturers and industries in automobiles flooding our markets. So why did you particularly think of an electric vehicle?
Fast forward, what then happens is that the project doesn't take off in 2003. It stays really in in a state of docility. You know, some resources are voted, a few people travel to MIT, they return until 2007.
Wow.
Now, what happens in 2007, there was a group of curious students on the electrical engineering program. Electrical engineering at Makerere University has always attracted some of the finest minds we have on the continent. Every year, some of the finest minds we have on the continent elect to pursue electrical engineering at Makerere University. So you will always find exceptional talent at the university. And at the time, I actually used to teach on several programs, and electrical engineering used to be one of those programs.
Wow.
I being a mechanical engineer, though, I used to teach them...
The mechanics of electric.
I used to teach them engineering mathematics.
Uh-huh.
I used to teach them a cocktail of courses in computing, whether it was systems analysis and design, whether it was numerical methods and the computing that goes with from algorithm development to testing it using primitive languages.
I love that.
A wide range of them. And then we used to use C and C++, and whether it was actual software development, real applications development, the way we see applications today facing the internet, facing the mobile phone, and things like that. So I used to take on students from their second year, and I would give them at least 2 doses of mathematics. And their third year, I would give them 1 compulsory dose of mathematics, and then another elective dose of mathematics.
And then you set them free.
And then I would set them free.
Through an examination.
Through the typical processes of the institution. So these 4 students picked interest in this iLabs project. And they wanted to see whether they could contribute to making it a reality, because it lacked the talent to move it to a point where it would benefit the university. And they embarked on an amazing job, because a couple of years down the road, we started seeing these internet laboratories take ground, and many students benefited, and also trying to see how we can bring on board other universities in Uganda, Rwanda, and also supporting our colleagues in Dar es Salaam to see how they roll out. Makerere became like the leader in iLabs rollout.
In the region, yeah.
In the region. So we had 4 students then. We had their team leader. He is now teaching at the university. He's Dr. Katumba Andrew. He teaches in engineering school actually currently. Okay. And then there was another young man who was called Michael Rotaro. I don't know whether he still works with the Ministry of Energy, but later on he went to work with the Ministry of Energy. Then there was Stephen Jeremy Ntambi, was another student. And then we had Lodwin Muhwezi. Lodwin Muhwezi, I'm not so sure where he ended up working. Now these students tried to pick this up, but they did not have proper faculty guidance. Every rock star needs a coach.
Absolutely.
So they needed a coach to help them play better and hone their craft better. Since I'd been their teacher from second year, and now they were finishing third year, going into fourth year, and they were toying around the idea of taking this up as part of their final year project, I used to maintain an open door policy. People would come anytime and interact with me. So they came and they told me about what they were doing. And I found it quite interesting that there was a project like that which was lying with even some resources. There was some little man, about $20,000 to support the project with student exchanges and things like that. And most of this was not even being utilized. It was in the shelves. So we made the necessary engagements, and we got to start speaking to the colleagues at MIT. And I was like, but first of all, as a mechanical engineer, I was really deep into systems. It's an area I used to do lots of practice, given that my earlier studies involved a lot of systems design, programming, and things like that. So I had a fair base of knowledge to guide. But I thought that they would benefit more if we had a seasoned electrical engineer as their main supervisor, and then I would come in to provide the technical aspects of how do you build systems, how do you design systems, how do you test, and all of these kind of things, which I was really pretty good at. So I requested my boss. I was in the Department of Engineering Mathematics, which was headed by Professor Sade Stephen Tokbowa. So I requested him to accept to take on the students as the main supervisor, and I would be their co-supervisor. And he gladly accepted to do that. So we start working with these students, getting the project aligned with the institutional structures, planning on how we can liaise with the other actors, Dar es Salaam, Nigeria, as well as Cambridge, yes. MIT. And we set up a protocol where these students would meet me at least once every week to discuss progress, yes. Challenges, prospects. Yeah, what have we done? What are the matters arising? And what are we looking at? What should we expect in the subsequent week? And it was working pretty well. Now, one of those afternoons, Stephen comes back, comes to my office on his own. My door was always open. I used to sit in room 252.
Oh, I even remember the room now.
In the old building on the top floor. So he comes and as usual, I thought that he had come to discuss
with you and
brief me on what is happening. And I'm like, oh, how come you're alone? Why? I was like, no, I've come to discuss another matter. I was like, let's hear it. And I was like, okay, when we visited MIT for the last student exchange, I met some people who were working on electric cars. And I was like, electric cars? Okay. And they invited me to join them. I was like, okay. So I'm setting up a team here at the university because they are working on a plug-in electric hybrid vehicle called Vision 200, targeting the Indian market. That was a time when Tata had just unleashed the Tata Nano, and India, today India is a very competitive automotive market. And then it was just at that point where it was being looked at as the next China,
yes.
in terms of growth in the automotive space. But the approach for India was always affordable, competent technologies. So Tata wanted to build a car which was affordable. The Tata Nano seemed to be the answer to that. It was never very successful as a project, though. And so these students at MIT had also tapped into that energy of saying, okay, how can we bring an affordable vehicle to the Indian market through crowdsourcing knowledge?
Get different hands on deck.
Get all the 6 continents, premier universities on the 6 continents.
And create something.
To create something phenomenal, which should be clean and should address, and of course Tata liked small vehicles, At the time, they were trying to introduce a small vehicle which could be nimble and work in the Indian market. So that is what is happening there. So 31 universities have teams, and Makerere is one of them. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's interesting. Tell me about the Makerere team.
He breaks it down for you.
No, he told me I am the Makerere team. And I was like, okay, let me understand something here. What does a team do? Now, of course, then I didn't know too many things about vehicles. I owned one little one, a Toyota Chikumi Kumi.
Which was sufficient and serving the purpose of moving from point A
It actually looked executive. Yeah, Chikumi Kumi, in 2007, you were
up there.
You were a pace setter.
Yes, you did.
But that wasn't the major issue. Today, what we know a typical vehicle has over 70,000 parts. And so many systems. You can classify them wherever you want to take them, maybe in 7 major categories. And so what MIT had done was to create a team looking at a particular system or a subsystem or a particular context of the vehicle. So all the 31 teams were responsible for something.
And particularly for Makerere?
Team Makerere was responsible for the control area network. We call it the CAN. This is what connects the different decision nodes in the vehicle when you're driving and you choose to brake.
Then we ignite that. So if I get you right, Paul, it's to say that the team didn't set out on its own to say we're going to create an electric vehicle.
No.
But it was part of a bigger project somewhere.
Yeah.
And then it eventually picks knowledge, aggregates.
We were inspired.
Picks inspiration. And then, long story short, we end up here.
We come back. So what happens then
So maybe then I may, sorry I cut you short.
Yeah.
Because we need to get this to sink in properly. We'll take a short break.
Everyone has a life story to tell. But an incredible life story is shared and told differently.
Paul, so your team gets inspiration, your team gets motivated, your team gets fired up, but you're just 4 or 5 of you. You can count you on your 5 fingers. How then does that translate into this?
So the MIT project took its course, and our team participated in it. And then we go ahead to close that chapter. But it had started a spark, a phenomenal spark of believing in the ability of our talent to accomplish more. So as the darkness closed on the Vision 200 project in the summer of 2008, we started wondering how we could take those lessons which we had learned through an extracurricular activity. The participation in the MIT project was through an extracurricular activity predominantly. And now we wanted to put together an institutional program for vehicle development at Makerere University.
That's when I come in, Paul. Vehicle. Why not safety pin, matchbox, containers, or, okay, if it must be electric, let it be something more functional for the vast majority of Ugandans. Cars are considered to be a high-end luxury necessity. Yes, they incredibly play the part of moving us from point A to point B. But that at the time, perhaps even now, that may not necessarily be the most pressing of a need for these incredible brains like yours and the team to have dived in first. Why did you go for an EV?
Transport is a major enabler for all economies, for all communities. People move for several reasons: pursuing opportunities, going for services, education, healthcare, going to the market to collect some commodities.
Even leisure, if you please.
Even leisure, if you please. So for us, the effort into the car, we saw it as a way that embodies the relevance of an engineer who's participating in not only solving a central problem in a nation which imports today over $760 million in cars annually, being, I think, the second most valued import after petroleum, which runs them. So, if this car could be electric, you still see further enrichment of our economic resolve for transformation, because then electricity we make here. If we make the electricity here, to drive a car that is made here, we have the potential to build a more resilient economy over the time.
But then again, a car, an electric vehicle for that matter, was not something novel. There were other big boys in the business that had been known for centuries: General Electric, Toyota, and others, Mercedes and Chrysler, that were already into the automobile space. And they were looking at going green because that movement had already begun. What made you think that you would not even just compete, but play in the same league as those big boys? When you, for a moment, trying to kick above your weight?
When you look at a vehicle, typically the deployment environment of a vehicle has a lot to do with the way it is designed. So that's why you hear today, when you're buying a Land Cruiser, that it is tropicalized. Meaning that the systems have been customized
for the tropics.
For the tropics.
I remember a tagline of a car known as Peugeot. They would say,
yeah,
a car made for Africa.
Yes. So if you're building a vehicle that is going to work in New Zealand, you're going to make some choices about the way the engine warms up or the way the battery is managed to operate at that, very low temperature. And similarly, if you're building a vehicle to work in most of the tropics on the African continent, you're thinking about dust, you're thinking about moisture.
You're thinking about suspension.
You're thinking about the terrain, which is quite challenging. So there was a proper call for an engineer to solve the problem or to contribute to a solution that is competent for our duty here. And there was no knowledge in the world on an electric vehicle
for
operating
this here,
in this market, in our environment. Our environment, not only looking at it from the thermal management itself for both the systems that drive the vehicle and the cabin, but also from the way it handles the duty on the road and what that would mean in terms of packaging the systems to be able to give you the solution that is fit for purpose. And that is what keeps us as engineers here at Kiira Motors Corporation even today quite busy. So we at the time had Professor Nawangwe, the current Vice Chancellor, as the Dean
yes,
of the then Faculty of Technology, now College of Engineering, Design, Art, and Technology. And all the way from the summer of 2008, I happened to sit on the same floor with him, and I would bump into him literally
on a day.
Every day as he goes into his office and I go into my small space. I had now moved across to 262. 252, 262 was on the other side. And he would always grab my hand and take me to his office. What are we doing about the vehicle project? What are we doing? Now, the students who we had started with, that team had graduated and left the university.
Wow. And they were in pursuit of a proper employment to bring to them.
They're pursuing other opportunities so that they can go. And now we are starting this project again. At the time, I had, now that is 2009, fast forward, I had Richard Madanda, who's our current director, product development. Mm-hmm. And he was the best from the day he was born.
Always the best in class.
Always the best. Wow. Best at home in breastfeeding. Best in nursery school, best in primary. He did his primary here in Uganda. Then went to Namiryango.
Best in
Namiryango, came to electrical engineering. All the years he was best, and later on went to Europe to do his master's. He was the best there. And now he's the best product development engineer we have here, and he leads.
I love how you keep
that
track
team.
of your team.
Yeah, so Richard was someone I had identified during his second year, and I was keeping tabs on him. And I had invited him to join the project earlier, and I invited him back again now to be the person around which we build a team to help us build a vehicle here. Wow. Not a vehicle with other universities, but a Makerere vehicle. And this time we said, when I sat down with him, we were still thinking what to do. And in January of 2009, we got a visiting professor from Kayoola University in Japan. Professor Hiroshi, he had built then in 2004, the fastest then electric vehicle called Elica, E-L-I-I-C-A.
Wow.
Gull wing, 8-wheel drive, phenomenal as they come. Mm. And when we had a meeting with the Professor Hiroshi, I just turned and I looked at Richard because something had really sparked. He showed us how simple it was to design a purely electric vehicle. Remember the vehicle which we had worked on with MIT and 30 other universities was a hybrid vehicle.
Hybrid, yes.
But he showed us the simplicity of designing, and I saw, as the professor was discussing, I was like, when does it end? So that I sit down with Richard.
And you start.
And we start building an electric vehicle because it was very easy, actually, or the way we perceived it.
Let me put it this way, the way I perceive the vehicle, and many of our viewers perhaps, is this, call it a box or container, that is able to have self-propulsion.
Yeah.
Was that what you're looking at, or you were looking at?
We were really looking at most so the drive system, because these are the things of the body you can
outsource.
You can outsource, you can play around with them, but the drive system was very achievable.
So
from the electrical, mechanical, and software integration point of view. What he showed us was like, this we can do.
So if I may use the analogy of creation of a human, the human is actually the soul, that intangible you. Yeah. And then the rest, the limbs and all that, we can erase, get from clay.
Yeah.
But that which is metaphorically referred to in the Holy Book, that then God breathed his breath into the human. So what you guys were trying to create was that breath to make this, as opposed to the housing.
The housing, yeah. Or if you could call it the heart of the heart of the vehicle really is the drive system. Because otherwise, if it is the body of the vehicle, it can be a heart
can pick up
a house, not so? So when we saw that electrical systems, the mechanical integration of those electrical systems or the drive systems and the software part were achievable, immediately that same day, I told Richard, we are going to build an electric vehicle. Pure electric. Because we can do it.
And you began.
And we began.
But it required resources. It required financial resources. It also required that Richard, who was a student, and others that were students, unlike you, had to full-time give themselves to this project.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether that was part of the curriculum for which you would mark their success. In other words, they also had their courses to pursue and be able to pass as students to get the degree for which their parents sent them to the university. How did you arrange the integration of both so that one doesn't feel the other is taking a lot of time from the core?
Yeah. Rightfully so, it was demanding, even for me, who was an employee of the university, because I had so many other things to do, and there was no money dedicated to doing this work. And for the students, it was quite demanding. So what we quickly did, one, we quickly put together a range of students, at the time 8 of them, from different disciplines, mechanical, electrical, telecom. Yeah, those were the 3 areas we picked students to come and be the core team that we would mentor to start working on this vehicle. And then we went into the actual planning, because remember that is January. So the first thing was, can we identify some students? Luckily, I used to teach across all these disciplines. So we were able to identify 2 students from telecommunications engineering, 2 students from mechanical engineering, 2 committed students from electrical, and 1 non-committed one. And then we got another student from architecture. Yeah, so then I have Richard, I have Fred, I have Gerard Baguma, I have Kajimba Diana, I have Patricia Atwinjwile, I have James Biansi, who was the one from architecture. I had Nasa Jagenda Baguma, and Morris. Morris, I forget, I think. Richard will tell us what the other name for Morris is. It was from mechanical engineering, and it was a very interesting one of all of the entire lot. They had so many crazy ideas. So we start figuring out where we start from. Remember, they are now in their last semester of the third year.
Yeah.
And during the break after the year, the curricular activities, they had industrial training. So the first thing was to figure out how can they get an industrial attachment that gives them some knowledge and skills of a vehicle. None of them had a driving license.
I would be surprised.
So if any of them was driving, they were doing it illegally. So I'm with these students, and Professor Nawango is continuously saying, Paul, we do it. And we are putting in extra time. And then the question was, how did we? So we decided that their industrial training, which was a curricular activity, should be a good starting point where the work they are doing, this extra work they are doing, can contribute to their requirements for graduation. Now, earlier in my second year, 2000, I had done my industrial training at Kiira Motors.
Wow.
Whoever knows the Mercedes-Benz dealership
Franchise, yes.
and garage. Kiira Motors has a wonderful technical institute where they train their
Called the mechanics.
the mechanics, the mechanics, and so many other people. So I had loved that experience, but I also had a wonderful library where you could get access to information on every system of a vehicle in great detail. And they had seasoned technicians on all systems of the vehicle. And then the vehicle was a Mercedes-Benz, that was their major. So
the best one.
Yeah, I had a good time doing my internship at Kiira Motors. So likely when you're looking for places to resource, you always remember
those that gave you a great impact.
Yeah, those ones would really, they impacted me greatly as an engineering intern. I had a great time there. I learned a lot from them.
And so that now followed like clockwork. You got your...
So immediately I didn't pick the phone. I drove there because it's just there in Nakawa. So I went over there and I talked to the leadership and I was like, I'm here. Yeah, where have you been? Because remember, this is 2009. I was last there in 2000. So it's almost a decade, right? Oh, yeah, yeah, I teach at the university. Oh, wonderful. But I'm here actually because I teach at the university. I have a group of young people. We are toying with the idea of making a career like a really okay one. And we think that this is a great place for us to start finding out about a car. You're like, oh, fine. So they gave us actually
the placements
for two of the students. I think did not have a lot of faith. They decided to go and do safer industrial training, not this crazy industrial training. So the 6, they gave us the placement for the 6, and then what we would do, Monday to Thursday, they will be in Kiira Motors, and then on Friday,
you congregate.
We would come back to my little office, 262 now, in the old building at the School of Engineering, and we would discuss and work through. And the idea at the time was to see how we could craft projects which the students in their 4th year, or these ones in 3rd year going to 4th year, would then work on.
To bring from ideation to reality.
To design and specification, because we really needed to have the designs and the specifications of the vehicle. And we called that vehicle Makerere electric vehicle.
That's when the name is born.
That's how the name is born.
Everyone has a life story to tell, but an incredible life story is shared and told differently.
From wherever you're watching us from, whether it's on YouTube, and if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe, or wherever else you catch your podcasts. Welcome to Incredible Life Stories with Simon Kasyate. On the program, Paul Isaac Musasizi, a man that is, for purposes of today, speaking to us from a historic perspective of how this prop, which is an actual car, the actual first electric automobile made in Uganda, was ideated, co-created, and became an actual vehicle that now sits, or should I say stands, in great glory at the first vehicle assembling plant in Uganda, somewhere in the eastern part of the country in Jinja, and the place is the Kiira Motors Corporation. But what began as just this Makerere electric vehicle has now become a full-fledged automobile assembly plant, the first in Uganda, and some even argue in the East African region. Am I right, Paul?
You're right.
This, in November 2011, is commissioned. And the picture still rings very vivid in some of us who were alive and adults at the time, of the president seated in this car. We want you to tell us, who was the guy that was driving? Who took the risk to drive the president?
I drove the president.
And you know that if anything could have gone wrong at that particular time, that's not a case of mechanical failure, it would be a case of treason. And no less treason than attempted murder of a sitting head of state. Take us back that very momentous moment. How did you feel? The president seated right next to you, and you're driving him through this innovation that you started from an idea into an actual thing.
That moment was a thrilling moment. I had seen the president from a distance, but now you're there with the president.
In this little capsule.
In the car. 2 people. But I guess I was overpowered as an individual, because in my own capacity, I think I would have not manage to be there with the president. Man, the president is power.
Nobody doubts.
Yeah, he has the power to do things, and you're there with him, and you're driving him. So for me, I would say that was really not me. It was really
nerves.
Yeah, it was God.
Wow, I love
yeah,
that.
it was the Spirit of God bringing His divine idea to life. Because Kiira EV represents the spirit of a young boy, a young girl born on the African continent, daring to dream.
And the dream turning into a reality.
And the dream turning into a reality.
In their life.
And it could not go wrong. That can only be divine. Wow. As engineers, we had done our homework. This vehicle was as solid as it gets. We had tested, we had checked everything, and there was no doubt. The specifications, we had gone through everything, and we had a lot of help. We had engineers in the US who were always on call late at night, working with us through the programming, checking, validating this. You know, we worked with some of the best fabricators from Katwe.
Oh,
yeah.
Not Japan,
Katwe.
not Germany,
Katwe.
But Katwe.
We had over 50 artisans working with us to do the fiber molding and all these things from Katwe.
So this is Katwe stuff. This is our chibati, you know.
Yeah, this is glass fiber glass. This is a bati molded by hand with our Katwe people.
Okay, this looks handmade. Clearly, the emblem.
The emblem is handmade.
The grill is the kind that we normally roast our meat on. Clearly, it looks very rustic in Ugandan.
You can really see.
Wow.
So.
And the upholstery of the leather inside, clearly you can see is hand-sewn.
It is hand-sewn by an olive oil drop out from Chiburi. So, you know, this was that.
So small as this car is, Paul, what I get is the sense that we are talking about hundreds of hands in this.
Yeah, there are hundreds of hands which went in here. I mean, if I just go back, people like Kolobe, Katambula, all of these guys, some of them were mechanics and they were helping us
artisans.
To see artisans, how do you customize? Because no one had worked on an axle which hooks into the motor.
So in other words, you chose that you are not going to bring technology from nether.
No.
And put it in here and just work on the electric board and all that. You said everything. Let us customize it from the most basic.
From the most basic.
Of Ugandan knowledge.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Where we could pick a standard piece like a light, because that would have been difficult, maybe a side mirror. But the core and the spirit of the vehicle were like, no, we really need to ensure that we are able to build the vehicle. It may look like another similar
like
vehicle.
A Yaris.
Or a Yaris or something, but to build a vehicle that speaks to that. And remember, in 2009, 2010, electric vehicles were not easy to come by anywhere in the world.
There was stuff that we read in futuristic magazines.
So even looking at the technology that drives the vehicle, you wouldn't go and just buy anything. You had to work directly with manufacturers to do for you. See our small radiator there. To do for your radiator, for cooling the computer that runs the motor and things like this.
So let's say once you did the tests that you talked about, the tests, the remodeling, everything, certain things of course would go wrong. So can we say that this took in quite a lot of man hours in terms of physical changes and what you call them, I don't say distortions, but I want to say remodelings and refurbishments, if you may.
We moved from the mathematics. I don't know whether Richard still has his book, which has a lot of mathematics, to computer simulations, where you're determining whether the vehicle will go up a hill, to actually building paper models so that you can see that the dimensions make sense, to building the life-size wire model, and you place seats in there to see that when you will sit there, it will work.
And then create the whole thing about aerodynamics, the viscous drag, as you call it, the aerodynamics.
To see how the entire thing is going to come together, to then starting to cut the metals and pieces to do the frame at the body of this vehicle. Why lime green? Two professors were always very instrumental. Professor Tikodri would always actually bring his own money and say, you go and you say, we are stuck here. Okay. He brings Professor Nawangwe, as the head of the faculty, would always mobilize the faculty to finance.
Finance, yes.
Some of the earlier work before we got the presidential funding, which I should also talk about the point when the president came in, because that is critical. But most importantly, he actively participated in so many choices. The color. I always, he's an architect, so I would always spend some time and take him to see this is where. And I remember when I took him, the first design, the color, I don't even remember what it is, but we have it in some of the pictures when we had just done the first design. I think it was a certain silver gray. Yeah, it was a certain silver gray. And I was like, but this car is electric. It is green. Why don't you pick a striking color like lime green? For architects, colors come pretty naturally. Why don't you pick a color like lime green? So the lime green color comes from Professor Nawangwe. That's why I keep on saying that this is not an idea which you could attribute
To one person.
For me, I think it was a lot of organizing the teams, structuring the project and running it. But wherever we interacted with people, they would always add something. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? When His Excellency came to Makerere University,
To launch this.
not to launch, this was earlier in 2009. That was before the launch of Vision 2040. You know, Vision 2040
Yes.
was launched in around budget time in 2010.
Yes.
So 2009, around November, he came to the university to check what the university was doing in engineering that could fuel science, technology, and innovation as an enabler for industrialization. And we told him we are working on a car. Richard was there, he showed some sketches. We had a small wire car something,
So
and there was no money.
Did the president's jaw drop, or did he just smile at you and say, look at these daydreamers?
I don't think when he visited Makerere, the Kayoola, because there was no car. We just showed him a few sketches on the computer.
And says, okay.
Yeah, and it was like, it didn't, even to us, it wasn't making sense. We knew we were up to something, but at that point, it wasn't there. But I think where it caught his attention more is when he invited Makerere in December over to State House Entebbe to present the proposal for the first science technology. I think it was called the Science and Technology Innovations Fund. For 5 years, some 25 billion. For 5 years, where some of the money was coming to do the Kiira EV as well. But it was supporting over 11 projects. And at that time now, we were more structured. We were serious. Now we had come to ask the president for money.
For specific amounts.
And I remember Richard and Diana Atwinjire were presenting, and they were presenting the Makerere electric vehicle. And they said, hold on. Makerere, and it was abbreviated Mac-EV. And you know, these young people, Madanda and Atwinjire with their accents, Mac-EV. And I was like, we may cause confusion here. Why don't we pick, and then he said in Japan, they call their cars Honda, Toyota,
Mitsubishi.
From the names of the founding persons. Why don't we call it either Musasizi or Tikodri? But or even better, Kiira. Kiira is the name of our river Nile. And that was a phenomenal moment for us, because as I sat there and I'm thinking like, yeah, Kiira is perfect, because electricity,
First hydroelectric plant.
the water, the food, the fish. Nile perch can only be Nile perch if it's from the Nile.
Absolutely.
You know,
It could be patch from anything, but Nile patch is
transport, the water for irrigation. So Kiira was that embodiment of the spirit of the vehicle we were actually building. But we didn't know until we met
His Excellency the
His
President.
Excellency the President.
Baptizes
the
this.
fountain of honor, and he baptizes it Kiira. So we said Kiira EV. That is how the name Kiira EV comes about.
Paul, fast forward, we're at Kiira Motors Corporation.
Yeah.
Now we know where the name comes from. So from this prototype vehicle
Yeah.
to this, the first vehicle assembling plant in Uganda and in the region, the journey is a long one. That's a long and more incredible life story. But we are here now. Quickly, as we conclude our conversation, what are we seated at? How big is this facility? What's its capacity? What has it done so far? And everything in between that you may want us to get now at Kiira Motors Corporation.
So when His Excellency comes and we received about 450 million and we went to work, we built this vehicle in record time. Because I remember we started the building of this vehicle in February 2011, and by
November you are launching it.
by October we were actually done, and then His Excellency launched it on the 24th of November. He phoned sometime and came to launch, and it was a proud moment. And one thing he said is that this was an African renaissance. The second thing he said is that we are going to produce vehicles here. And to keep his word, the next day he called Professor Tikodri and told him, what do we do to set up capabilities for making vehicles here? And we came up with the ideas of what we should do. And we were able to sit again with him in the January of 2000, now in State House, Nakasero, January of 2012. And after we discussed, he told us to go and do 4 things.
One,
which he would support. 1, build the product. And you could trust that His Excellency is very wise, because maybe he knew that this may not be the product. He said, build a product. So for us, that was our assignment, to go and establish what would be the market entry product for this initiative.
okay.
And today we have the bus.
Because
as
you're
the
looking at the biggest need being mass transit.
The ordinary Africa's motorization rate, which is the number of vehicles per 1,000 people, is 49. Uganda's is 13 vehicles per 1,000 people. The global average is 209. The US is 860. Japan and South Korea is 1,070 vehicles per 1,000 people. If people are to move on the African continent for the next century, they're mainly going to be using buses.
Or coaches.
And that makes sense. So we were like, we start there. And we will make other cars, but the product, our answer to the instruction to build the product, for now, the buses. We have them as buses for the city, coaches, luxury coaches. The second thing he told us is build the plant. And today, we are seated in the Kiira vehicle plant, the biggest, most capable, and most competent bus manufacturing plant on the African continent.
Sprawling of an area about 100 acres.
100 acres.
The hinterland of this country, right close to
the
River
that
Nile.
matter, the source of the River Nile, our corridor to Mombasa.
That's the Northern Corridor Road.
Yeah, Northern Corridor Road. And of course, near the core power plants in the country. You have Isimba, you have Bujagali, you have
Kiira hydropower station and hydropower station.
So we have moved greatly there. It is still a journey, but at least we have the minimum valuable plant where we have already started rolling vehicles off here, and phenomenal vehicles, the best-in-class vehicles in their segment on the continent.
Throw me around the numbers. What have you rolled out so far?
So far, we have rolled out 41 buses.
In how many years?
Since 2019. So 2019, you're looking at 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Wow, incredible.
The plant is just coming online. Actually, it's yet to be commissioned.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is what we test run 41.
Yeah, this has
you're
been.
not telling us how many orders you have in the pipeline that you're working on.
Right now, the actual confirmed orders are above 20.
Wow.
But we have pre-orders in excess of 4,000 across the African continent.
To be delivered in how long? What time do you have to deliver your orders?
We are looking at 3 years when we close them into orders.
Incredible.
His Excellency told us to build the team. And we've been working hard around that, the team, different skills and competences. Today we have about 330 workers here at the Kiira vehicle plant. And counting.
And counting. From all sorts of disciplines.
From all sorts of disciplines.
Including support functions that are not necessarily science.
Whether it is landscaping, whether it is cleaning, whether it is the engineering, whether it's legal,
communication,
whether it's communication, where we
it's finance,
whether it's finance, it's a platform for application of all disciplines to make things happen. And the fourth is to build the business. The business, of course, needs to make money and sales and things like that. So
that the support of this facility stops coming from the taxpayers' purse, and in fact starts contributing to the taxpayers' purse.
National Treasury, ultimately.
My last question to you, Paul, about this whole thing. When you close your eyes and imagine this facility and this dream that you started off as a young tutor at the university, the team of your mentees and all, where do you see Kiira Motors Corporation in the short 5 years, medium term, 10 years, and say 20 years from now?
Wherever I close my eyes and I think about the young people who work here, I have no doubt in my mind that in 5 to 10 years, Kiira Motors Corporation is going to be a market leader in developing mobility solutions, serving not only the African continent, but also other parts of the world.
When I said close your eyes, I didn't say get into dreams that may not turn to be reality. Are you sure, Paul? You're telling me things that are of dreams that we will actuate, or you're still in your dream mode like you had many years ago?
We are always reminded that dreams must be big, but the dreams...
Very ambitious.
Yeah, ambitious. They should be there. Your dreams should scare you.
Yeah, absolutely. If they don't, then you haven't dreamt enough.
Kiira EV scared us.
This little thing.
This little thing was a dream.
Now you look at it and say, come on, this is homework for secondary school.
Now that is done.
Arts and crafts, really.
Now, how do we bring these, solutions, mobility solutions that go and exceed the expectations of the customer to the world? I'm very confident that we have what it takes. As long as we have the right talent here, there is nothing we can't accomplish. If Elon Musk and his people are grabbing rockets, we can do it.
A final one, especially on the team, and what we have seen in other disciplines, Paul, and I don't want to imagine you are an exception, but you could be, and tell us, give us the reassurance. You may be a trailblazer in this business, in this part of the world, but you certainly are not the. Yet you are creating the team that is a world-class team that only happens to work at Kiira Motors EV. And there is a very clear likelihood, as has happened in many places, that those trying to build this and make and scale up in other places may want to tap into your talent. Tell us what you are doing that can reassure us that you have, number one, adequately identified, and you will, without a doubt, retain your incredible talent away from the vagaries of brain drain and everything that can come to distort your team composition.
Brain drain is a reality, and we have experienced it
already.
Yeah, we have experienced it right from the beginning. Richard and Fred are here. They were part of the 8. The others are not here.
And they are alive somewhere.
They are alive, and most of them are working in places in Europe, in Asia, in the US, on cutting-edge projects. So, because the space we are in is globally quite competitive.
True.
Yeah, EV is one of the 3 mega trends. So the skill we build here is very relevant anywhere in the world, and certainly they would pay better. But we are doing 3 things. One is the pipeline, continuing with the pipeline. We have programs we have put in place to continuously pull talent from the university. Right now at the university, we have the e-mobility skilling program.
Wow.
With the support of UNDP at the Unipod. We have a cohort now of 25 engineers from all disciplines, whether it's biomedical, software engineering, and so on. And this is going to continue.
Wow.
Every year we'll be taking 25.
More like a huge farm having a nursery bed somewhere.
Absolutely.
Where there's everything being done to the seedlings in there, ready for transport.
Ready for transfer. Right. And when those guys are done with that skilling program, as they finish their first paper, we have a graduate associateship where every year we take at least 12 of these engineers in these numbers, we are sure, because we are continuously going to compete with the global job market for the same talent. And we see every year great talent moves for greener pasture, and we can't stop that.
No, sir.
But at least we know that from that skilling program, the graduate associateship here, we are able, if you skill some 12 in the graduate associateship and you can retain 6 for 4 years, that is amazing, because even in those 4 years, you're actually
training others.
You're training others. But the third thing we are doing is to try to make the employee at Kiira Motors Corporation feel dignified to work here.
Wow.
When you work here and you feel you're dignified working
fulfilled,
here. And fulfilled working here. You enjoy your work. Your ideas are great ideas, which we enjoy and we support to become the reality. We try to provide meaningful welfare for our employees. We try as much as possible to make them feel at home away from their social home.
Talking about home, you obviously are located in a location that had natives around them. And there has always been this argument that you may have a legal license to operate, which you have your licenses. But what takes you to be an incredible corporate citizen in this space is having the social license to operate. What's your stand like in the community around you? Because clearly, there's no doubt, Paul, the people around you in this heaven of vegetation and sugar plantations, we don't see any ability to buy your cars. But the folks around you feel you, do they like you around them, or are you simply sitting on a time bomb in terms of social unrest should they have the ability to sabotage you?
We've been intentional from the time we broke ground here, understanding that even when initially they may not be able to buy the vehicles, the first thing is that they should have a place where they can exercise themselves meaningfully, economically.
Economically.
So the first thing we did when we were breaking ground is that we took in as many people from the community. The team which was here constructing was about 500 workers. 70% of those were from the community.
Wow.
Yeah, carpenters, steel benders, masons, porters, landscapers from the community. Wow. So someone who was growing cassava and maybe it wouldn't make a lot of sense now, they are actually
in the money economy.
In the money economy, they earn something, whether they are paid a wage weekly or fortnightly or monthly, that made sense. Now, as the construction was going away, there was a very big team which used to do the landscaping. And we said, now, you people, you know what to do. You should continue. But we can give you our legal team to assist you form a proper company, which we can relate with. They registered the company.
So these had come in as villagers in an individual, right?
Yeah.
Margaret, Sam, Simon, Paul.
Yeah.
Now you're telling them that what you do could actually be more meaningful and legally binding with the corporation by you also creating a legal entity.
They have created a legal entity, fully licensed. It pays taxes. And they are continuing to do what they were doing.
They're the ones that do the landscaping.
They are doing the landscaping,
manicuring
the
lawns.
cleaning, they are looking after the roads. So those are community people. But we've not stopped there. When we started the spin-off eBus Express, we didn't want to go very far. Most of the stakeholders were telling us, come and do it in Kampala. But we said, let charity start at home.
Yes.
Let the people in Jinja to Uganda be the first to enjoy an electric bus transit system.
Commuting in their space.
Commuting in their
and
space.
charging an affordable fee. Within a tranquil environment with dignity.
Perfect.
How many do you have on the road now?
So for the eBus Express, we are running 9 on one route.
Wow.
Iganga Jinja Mbiko. And even within that, we went down to the community and we found that at every stage, there is someone they call the Muyaye. These are the guys who, the taxi guys.
Super tote.
They throw
a coin or
they
two.
throw a coin or two after,
to mobilize
passengers to board. So we have integrated those people as eBus Express agents.
Wow.
And we are working to equip them with point-of-sale technology, like you see the mobile money agents. So
I can buy my ticket in advance with them.
You can load your wallet in advance with them. And that is the vision. So we have the community at heart. Our vision is to see that the innovations that we work on are impacting the real citizen of the nation where we do business. And the real citizen is not in a high tower along Kampala Road. The real citizen is in the communities. And that's why you saw even the other day we went to the community deep in Ipetete to see how innovation is brought to the people, to impact the real people for whom the innovations are intended. Those are the people who move to the market. Those are the people who move to school. Those are the people who move to church. That's where our business will thrive.
Paul Isaac Musa, it's been a pleasure having you on the program and sharing with us this incredible life story. I always tell folks on this program that this is not where the story ends. Matter of fact, this is where the story begins. Thank you.
Pleasure's all mine.
Everyone has a life story to tell, but an incredible life story is shared and told differently.